Very good evening to all. Today we are here for the IMA AMS Karnataka State Chapter Webinar and COVID Martyrs Day celebration. So at the outset, I request our Honorary Secretary of Karnataka State IMA, Dr. Karunakar sir, to recite the IMA prayer.
Thank you, madam. Thank you so much. Good evening, everybody. Today is a very precious and auspicious day that we had an opportunity to express our gratitude and acknowledgement to our healthcare professionals who lost their life fighting COVID-19 actually. As per the available nominal data, it's more than 2,000 doctors have died across the country. I think there may be much more because after we announced this, shared this list with branches, many more inquiries are coming, adding up the names into the list actually. Large number, thousands of nurses and other healthcare professionals have also died in the whole process actually. And it's been a great gesture on the part of IMA to observe this day as a Martyrs Day, COVID-19 Martyrs Day. As we all know, 30th January is the death anniversary of our Mahatma Gandhiji. It's been celebrated as a Martyrs Day, commemorating the sacrifices of the soldiers actually. And IMA this time decided we do it for COVID-19 victims also. That's how it's been generated and planned. Accordingly, across the country, there have been observation of this Martyrs Day, felicitation to the families, expressing our thanks and gratitude to them. And of course, many more such activities at the IMA KSB. We just now finished our activities. We had a candlelight jata and then the felicitation to the family members. And we had a wonderful appreciation for the work done by IMA doctors. So with this, I would like to just start with IMA prayer and add it over to the team. ಭಾರತೀಯ ವೈದ್ಯಕೀಯ ಸಂಘದ ಪ್ರಾರ್ಥನೆ, ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಸಂತೋಷವಾಗಿರಲಿ, ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಆರೋಗ್ಯವಾಗಿರಲಿ, ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ನೋವಿನಿಂದ ಮುಕ್ತವಾಗಿರಲಿ, ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ದುಃಖದಿಂದ ಮುಕ್ತವಾಗಿರಲಿ, ಎಲ್ಲ ಆಸೆ ಆಮಿಷಗಳನ್ನು ಮೀರಿ ಗುಣಪಡಿಸುವ ನಾವಾಗಲಿ. ಜೈ ಹಿಂದ್, IMA ಚಿರಾಯುವಾಗಲಿ. ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಧನ್ಯವಾದಗಳು. Madam, it's over to you. Please take over and do it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Karunakar sir. Yes. So, President is on the way. Just now, as Karunakar sir said, they had a COVID Martyrs Day celebration. Sir is on the way. He'll join us shortly. Slight network issues are there. So, at the outset, I welcome our President of IMA Karnataka State Branch, Dr. Srinivas sir, who will be joining us shortly. I welcome our Honorary Secretary, Dr. Karunakar sir, who has delivered the IMA prayer for us. I welcome our Treasurer, Dr. Vijay Sarthi sir, who has joined. I welcome all the IMA KSB office bearers, the chairmen of various committees of IMA, and all the senior IMA members who have joined, like Dr. Suresh Sagrat sir is there, Dr. Jambana Gowda sir is there, Dr. Padma Prakash, and everyone who have joined for this today's program. So the main attraction of the today's program is COVID Martyrs Day celebration and the talk by our speaker, Dr. Mohan Sunil Kumar sir, who is the Director, Chief Psychiatrist at Augmenta Health, Bangalore. So on behalf of IMA KSB and IMA AMS, we wholeheartedly welcome you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
I welcome the chairperson of today's program, Dr. Harishadelan Tobatu sir, Professor and HOD, Department of Psychiatry, Subbiah Institute of Medical Sciences, a hardcore IMA worker, we can say. Sir is a very dedicated IMA person. And I wholeheartedly welcome you, Dr. Haris sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
I welcome our Honorary Secretary of IMA AMS Karnataka State Chapter, Dr. Suresh Kagalkar sir, and I welcome everyone to this program. So as we all know, IMA is observing the COVID Martyrs Day on 30th Jan, as Dr. Karunakar sir just said. So according to the data, around 2,000 doctors died of COVID-19 during the first and second COVID waves in the first and second pandemic. In Karnataka also, we had more than 80 doctors who succumbed while treating the COVID-19 patients. So today, let us pay a tribute to the heroic health professionals who have made the ultimate sacrifice. So just before this program, we had a candlelight ceremony, a candlelight march to honor the lives of these fallen heroes. So just now in IMA, we had this program. So IMA AMS Karnataka State Chapter jointly with IMA Surya Branch, we had the candlelight ceremony and we paid silence to these heroes who succumbed in this while treating the COVID-19 patients. Yes. So throughout the country today, all the IMA branches are observing this COVID Martyrs Day. So I request John to kindly play the 2 videos which are there in memory of these COVID martyrs.
Indian Medical Association observing 30th January 2024 as COVID Martyrs Day. Let us all join hands to invite affected families of COVID martyr doctors and felicitate them by giving away mementos, shawls, etc. to express our gratitude and solidarity towards them.
नन्ही सी हंसी भोली सी खुशी फूलों सी वो बाहें भूल गए जब देश ने दी आवाज हमें हम घर की राहें भूल गए हम सोए नहीं कई रातों से जाने वतन सौ चांद बुझे हमें नींद उसी दिन आएगी जब देखेंगे आबाद तुझे तेरी मिट्टी में मिल जावा गुल बन के मैं खिल जावा इतनी सी है दिल की आरज़ू तेरी नदियों में बह जावा तेरे खेतों में लहरावा इतनी सी है दिल की आरज़ू मजबूर हुई जब दिल की दुआ तो हमने दवा से काम लिया वो नब्ज नहीं फिर थमने दी जिस नब्ज को हमने थाम लिया बीमार है जो किस धर्म का है हमसे न कभी यह भेद हुआ सरहद पे जो वर्दी खाकी थी अब उसका रंग सफेद हुआ
IMA initiated telephonic helplines for doctors, nurses, healthcare workers, police personnel, and general public.
तेरी नदियों में बह जावा तेरे खेतों में लहरावा इतनी सी है दिल की आरज़ू
Indian Medical Association salutes more than 2,000 martyred doctors who sacrificed their lives to save precious lives during the COVID period.
Yes. Thank you, John. So, after seeing these videos, really we understand how much the doctors have worked during the COVID-19 pandemic, and these doctors who have done the ultimate sacrifice of their life serving the COVID-19 patients. Yes. So now we move forward in our program. The webinar of today, So for this webinar, we have our chairperson, Dr. Harish Delantabattu sir. So actually, Dr. Harish sir doesn't need any introduction, but as a formality, I'll just introduce him very, very shortly. So he has completed his MBBS in Mysore Medical College, MD Psychiatry in Bangalore Medical College, and postgraduate diploma in National Law School of Indian University, Bangalore, in Medical Law and Ethics. Sir has many papers and presentations to his credit. He has received numerous awards. A very few among them are recipient of National Award, IMA, Dr. Ramachandra N. Murthy Award in Psychiatry for recognition of the service rendered during the year 2016-17. Then he was felicitated in the National Festival Committee, Government of Karnataka in Jan 2010 on occasion of 61st Republic Day at Bhadravati. He was felicitated by the Global Society for Health and Educational Growth, New Delhi, for achieving excellence in medical field in September 2005 at a function held in New Delhi. He has held many positions till date, few of them which I am mentioning. Presently, he is the professor and HOD of psychiatry at Subbaiah Institute of Medical Sciences, Shimoga. Previously, he was the HOD of psychiatry in KVG Medical College and Hospital, Sulia. He is also a postgraduate teacher, DNB examiner, member of Juvenile Justice Board. He was the president of Indian Psychiatric Society, Karnataka State Chapter in 2014-15, vice president of IMA State Branch 2015-16. Then he was the chairman of Indian Medical Education Subcommittee 21-22, Academic Subcommittee 16-17, then co-chairperson Forensic Psychiatry and Law Specialty Section of Indian Psychiatric Society. Then he has held position of president of IMA Bhadravati, resource person in mental health awareness programs, All India Radio in Bhadravati, and he has many programs to positions which sir has held to his credit. Also, he is very good in sports. So he has represented the University of Mysore in inter-university volleyball tournament held at Calicut University in October 1998. He has received individual championship in IMA State Athletic Meet in 2016 in Ballari, and he is a very good tennis player. And also, he is an amateur Yakshagana artist. So, this is Dr. Harish Delantabattu sir, who will be chairing today's session. Over to you, Harish sir.
Thank you, madam. Good evening to all. Indian Medical Association, Karnataka State Branch. As we all know, we are the proud members of Indian Medical Association. And we have Academy of Medical Specialties, IMA AMS, headed by Dr. Geeta Doppa, madam. As you all know, IMA AMS Karnataka State Branch bagged an award recently in the national headquarters. So I appreciate the hard work and the initiative of the present chairman. I congratulate you and the whole team. I also congratulate Dr. Suresh Kagalkar sir, who is the Secretary IMA KSB AMS division. Today we have a monthly program. In addition, we have COVID Martyrs Day celebration. We have lost many souls during COVID time, and we should remember them. I think January 30 will be COVID Martyrs Day every year. Hopefully, we have to remember their sacrifice. Today we have a seminar. We have a seminar on code gray mindset, the need of the hour for doctors. We were looking for a good orator, and Dr. Geeta madam asked me to find a good orator on this occasion. So I saw Dr. Mohan Sunil Kumar gave oration on many occasions, including state and national level conferences. I thought he is the right person to give a talk on this subject today. He's a very good speaker. Dr. Mohan Sunil Kumar did his MBBS DPM, received training in psychiatry from NIMHANS, a premier institute of mental health in India. He has received the prestigious Ramachandra and Murthy Foundation Ima Fellowship. He is also a fellow of the Indian Psychiatry and the Indian Association of Private Psychiatry. He is the founder and director of Augmenta Health Private Limited, a new mental health company dealing with various aspects of mental health in frontiers of clinical, preventive, and promotional mental health. He holds important official positions in prestigious national and international associations. He is involved in teaching, training, and digital breakthrough in the area of mental health. Interestingly, when I asked my son, who is preparing for NEET PG, I asked him, do you know this gentleman? Then immediately he said, it is MSK. Because MSK is giving a lot of lectures in narrow teaching program. So he is very familiar with all the postgraduates who are preparing for the PG NEET. They are very familiar with this space. So I am proud of Dr. Mohan Sunil Kumar for his excellent achievement. He is the co-creator of Helpline, India's first online suicide gatekeeper training program. His special areas of interest are public mental health, neuroeconomics, and use of technology in mental health space. His philosophy in life is we live life once. He's always been a keen learner and over willing to share the little knowledge he acquires, which I have been saying for many, many years. Now, may I request, with the permission of the President, Dr. Srinivas sir, the Secretary, Dr. Karunakar sir, the Treasurer, Dr. Vijay Sarji sir, with all your permission and the Chairperson, may I request the Speaker, Dr. Mohan Sunil Kumar sir, to speak on the need of the hour as far as the code grey mindset is concerned. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. I thank the IMA for giving me this opportunity to share a small piece of wisdom, which I thought will be very appropriate. Before we go further, for all of us to understand the gravity of the scenario, 2,000 doctors being lost is almost like 10 to 15 medical colleges, students not being taken in for next 15 to 20 years. If you do that, that is what is approximately 2,000 doctors lost at various kind of experience levels and those things. So without much ado, I'll try to kind of discuss in about 30 minutes the most of the content we would be requiring for us to know. Any questions, any discussions, we can take it up further. We can have it interactive. You can put it up on the chat also. I would be able to respond there and when possible. Now, getting into the discussion, what are we talking about today? We are talking about code gray mindset, the need of the hour. The examples that the doctors, the situations used are all fictional, no resemblance with people living or dead. Most of these things are concocted fictional examples. Maybe some of you can relate to some of it, but not necessarily it is your story. Now, what is this code gray mindset? For us to understand, let's break it up. What is this code gray? Code gray basically is kicked in a healthcare setup when there is a combative, violent, or a disturbed patient or attender. When the patient or the family member is quite disturbed, violent, aggressive, code gray is to be kicked in. We would know about other kinds of codes which also happen in healthcare. We should also, unfortunately, know about code gray because it is increasing in due course of time. Now, if you see the title, I have highlighted the word mindset. What are we talking about when we say the word mindset? Psychologically, we say mindset basically is the way we have our attitudes and beliefs and those. Let me dissect it one by one. It is a set. Mindset is a set or something which is constantly there in us of attitudes, beliefs, and way of thinking. It's something, the way we think through, which is there in us. It helps us perceive and respond to various kinds of situations around us in healthcare settings. It is basically a lens through which we see, not only see, we understand the rest of the things which happen. And we also take action or do things based on how we process the information. Now, that is mindset for us. Now, what is code gray mindset? Why are we talking about it? Why am I mentioning it is the need of the hour? The need of the hour because all of us as doctors and healthcare professionals and allied healthcare staff will know the need of the hour is, unfortunately, violence is becoming more and more common and getting reported more and more commonly. Trust in healthcare system is reducing for various reasons. Whether we like it or not, trust is definitely reducing. And the things are changing. Technology is coming in, artificial intelligence is coming in, super specialists are coming in. Lot of earlier it was doctor owned nursing homes which used to run. Now, even if you go to corner of the state, you will see corporate hospitals which are being built in. So a lot of changing landscapes are happening. Now, some of it is for good, some of it could be challenging. Now, that's the need of the hour. In this kind of a scenario, why should we know about code gray mindset? The reason we should know about code gray mindset is because if I said right, it's a pattern of thinking, feeling we develop. Now, if we have a great code gray mindset, we will handle things much better. In one line, if you have to say what will code gray mindset help you at, it will help you to go through a protocol driven quick set of responses to ensure safety of all stakeholders of healthcare system. Doctors are not the only one who are important. Patients are important, their caregivers are important, paramedical staff is important. Everybody involved in the healthcare system directly and indirectly are equally important in the whole chain of healthcare system. Now, if we want to take a decision which can help all of us, we cannot think when violence has kicked in. We should have thought about it much more before. That is why this talk or these kind of talks are not useful in crisis time. It is useful for us to prepare regularly so that we have protocols in our head. We realize, okay, next time when a challenge comes, this is how I will handle. Next time when a challenge comes, this is how, as a hospital, we will handle, as a department, we will handle, as a duty doctor, we will handle, as a different level, right? We are working at different levels, and all of us should have some kind of a protocol system built in. That is our code gray mindset. It is just not the doctor's job. It is just not the security person's job. It's not the administrative staff's job. It's everybody together who make that code gray mindset. When I told the word mindset, I told you it's basically some kind of set acts, feelings, thoughts. But let me dissect it further. Why should we develop a code gray mindset? And can we develop it? Yes, because mindset includes beliefs and attitudes, values and principles. What kind of values do we carry? What kind of principles do we carry? The experiences and memories are very, very important in the mindset. Our own emotional state. We would have noticed sometimes, right? Sometimes we are irritable at various points of time, not because the person whom we are seeing is irritating us, they're thinking about something else, and we are showing that anger on the person who's seeing us. So, socio-cultural influences, the dialect we speak, the language we speak, all these things matter. Knowledge and education, goals and aspirations. Some of us doctors are not necessarily going to be looking at same goals, right? We have some of us are super ambitious, some of us are minimally ambitious, and those things. So each one of our goals and this thing are different. Risk tolerance is different. Our own ability to adapt and being resilient and cope are different. Self-perception, how we see things about our own self, how we evaluate our own self, our own self-esteem is important. And overall awareness and mindfulness at that time of crisis, when some violence comes in, when violence gets erupted in our healthcare system, what do we do at that time? Can we think on the toe? Can we immediately be flexible? Can we immediately think through? Can we immediately cope through? So if you really say mindset is just not about some attitudes or beliefs, it involves a lot of things together. And this slide is extremely important for all of us because this will tell you that irrespective of what phase of our life we are in, we are budding professionals or we are kind of professionals who have been 30 years plus in the field, or we are somebody who's planning to retire in a few years' time. Does not matter who we are. We all can learn, apply, and keep on changing the code gray mindset constantly, because what worked yesterday might not work today. What works today might not work tomorrow. Now, we are all doctors out here, healthcare people, paramedical people out here. Have you always wondered why are we the uh, sitting duck for everyone? Sometimes we see, right? If anything goes wrong, doctors are held responsible. Administrative issues, doctors are held responsible. Financial issues, doctors are held responsible. Political, social issues, so many times doctors are held responsible. Why do we become the sitting duck for everyone? If you notice, whether we like or not, among doctors, we all know we're extremely sensitive people. We carry a lot of weightage to being a doctor. Whether we are young or old, doesn't matter. The title of doctor comes with a lot of weightage. Why is this important? I'm always remembered by these bank officials and people in bank, right? They always tell us that we like to always give loans to doctors, because most of the doctors don't like we calling them again and again or going to home. They will pay us back. So when a doctor asks for loans, they like to give. What does it say? We are very sensitive to people. Now, is it good or bad? It is good in some ways, but it can also turn out to be a challenge. That is where we will be talking about various aspects of our mindset which can lead to trouble and challenges. Now, IMA's own study showed about 3 out of 4 doctors, about 75% doctors, have gone through some kind of a violence against them, many times physical, many times verbal, but some kind of violence against them. 3 out of 4 doctors. When I explain to you various forms of violence, I'm sure all of you agree. Now we need to understand, many of us might be working as a part of institution or bigger setups. So we think we are working as a team. I'm just one small person in the team. Maybe I'm not going to be a victim of violence. Please understand, at the point of violence, the spotlight is on one person. Most of the times, if you unfortunately are there at that point of time, you might be bearing the brunt of it, even though you might not even be responsible for anything which happened with that particular case or scenario. So you thinking, okay, we have a team, everybody will help us, is not necessarily true. You need to understand, sometimes it becomes targeted to one particular person. So that is what makes violence at workplace for healthcare people quite a challenge, because the violence is on one particular person at any given time. Now, did you know this? About 50% of the violence happens at which place? About 50% of the violence happens at ICU settings and surgical procedures related wards and those things. ICU settings and emergency rooms and surgical procedure places are where 50% of the violence happen. Does it mean that, okay, let's imagine, for example, I do an outpatient practice. I don't work in surgical side. I don't work in ICU setups. Can I understand, okay, I will never get into any of this. I will never be a victim of violence. Absolutely not. There are various places which can lead to problems. So I've put in something called as violence venues, which are the venues where violence can happen. One, ICU emergency wards, surgical wards, psychiatry units, right? Psychiatry units are one places where a lot of times violence can happen. Billing counters, reception, entrance and exits of hospitals and clinics, mortuary rooms. These are the major places where violence can happen. When you look at this slide, you basically realize violence can happen at any place and every place of the healthcare setup. You cannot say one place is going to be safe enough and nothing is going to happen. Why is this important for you to look at this? If you're an administrator, if you are a dean of an institution, if you're a department head, if you want to plan protocols and strategies, it gives you an idea of how to plan these things, because there are different triggering factors in each of these setups. And like, for example, surgical wards and ICU, most of the times violence can erupt with the death of the patient, where they perceive negligence. See, there is negligence or not, court might decide over years to get. But if they perceive negligence, they would want to vent their anger. So if they perceive negligence or mishandling, they think we delayed the treatment, they think we mishandled the patient, all of these things, or miscommunication. We did communicate, but they misunderstood our words and those things. These are all main reasons why you will see violence erupting in surgical wards and ICU setups. In psychiatry units, psychiatric illnesses can make, especially in psychotic presentations, and those can make people behave violent. Substance use, especially, is known to be a big culprit in substance use, being a big culprit in patients. Not just patients, we all as doctors know the caregivers. If the caregivers have taken alcohol or smoked up some substance, they can be equally violent. It's just not the patients where you should think of substance use. If the caregivers are a little bit drunk or something, you should be a little careful, realizing that these are vulnerable people for violence and keeping yourself away. Billing counters, violence can erupt because of finance and financial pressures. Reception, one of the common reasons violence erupts is because of undue delay. Doctor is caught with some surgical procedures or some emergency. There's a delay, but the staff is not able to put it across. So the delays can make them go through a lot of violence. At entry and exits, because of the restrictions, right? Sometimes people don't like to being restricted. That could also lead to violence. Mortuary rooms, obviously, there's a grief and loss when people have died, their close ones, they are going through grief. In the process of grief, sometimes they end up actually doing things which might not be the right things for them to practice and follow. That could also be the challenge which could happen in these people. Now, what are the challenges leading to violence? What kind of challenges lead to violence? I told you about the venues which can lead to violence. I'm talking about the challenges which can lead to violence. One, infrastructure challenges. For example, you have a huge hospital, very limited number of security personnel. The chance of violence does increase. And that's true. Infrastructure challenges could be there. Limited staff could lead to violence. Finances can lead to violence. Communication problems. Doctors' communication, miscommunication can lead to violence many, many times. Expectations. When we come to hospital, right, we have expectations. Sometimes our expectations are much more than what is the reality. Now, these are scenarios where you should be expecting some kind of violence erupting. Grievance. Now, grievance, especially when it is not addressed, especially in government hospital setups, what happens is people go and give a complaint telling, okay, this is not happening, there's a delay happening, or the doctor has not seen. But if the grievance is not addressed by the system, what happens is the feedback is not taken seriously. They're very upset, and that anger can turn into violence and lead to issues. Security system issues, when a mob comes in, all those things can lead to violence. What are the other challenges which can lead to violence? Law issues, legal and system issues, laws which are not in favor could also lead to increase in violence. Most importantly, public perception can lead to violence. What do you mean by public perception? Imagine there's a super duper hit regional movie which has been done by the best star of a country or the state. Now, if that movie depicts doctors in very bad limelight, they might have based it on some reality of some doctor behaving in that particular way. But when it is done in a mass production and shown in movies, it can actually make the perception of the community very different on doctors. And sometimes in localities, right? What happens is in the local localities that the hospital is there, for some reason that people around believe this doctor is or this doctor or this institution is very commercial, or they believe, okay, they're very money minded, or they believe here everybody who goes there will be unnecessarily given medications or surgeries being done. If that's the social perception which has got created, tomorrow when a small violence erupts, damages are much higher. Now this is where mindset, code gray mindset, is not about when violence happens. It is about planning every day before a violence happens, why a violence can happen, what could you do about it and deal with it. Let me tell you something very important. Please understand, it's not the patient leading to violence most of the times. In fact, studies have shown world over 70% of the time, violence is not by the patient, but who is the person who is creating violence? The attenders. And especially when mob is there, mob mentality, when a lot of people are there, please understand the increase in violence chances are very high. So you need to learn to deal with mob psychology the best way and kind of be a little more calmer, especially when there is a group of people. It doesn't mean one caregiver cannot harm you, one also can harm you, but please understand, this is how you need to look at. So what are the various types of violence in healthcare settings? What are the various types of violent healthcare settings? I've kind of summarized into 4 important types. If you really look at world over, they see violence in healthcare settings can happen by someone random. Someone randomly, for some reason, like there is a criminal guy who wants to loot money. He knows when he goes to a hospital, there'll be some equipment which he can sell. He comes, is violent and takes it and goes. So he has nothing to do with the patient or the doctor or anything. Someone randomly creating violence is type 1 violence. Type 2 violence is by patient or the family member, which is the common thing which we can see. Type 3 violence is interesting, is by the fellow colleague itself. Now, why should you know about it? Because you need to understand healthcare system is surrounded by humans. We always not necessarily have to think about patients being violent. We can have our own politics in the institution, challenges in the institution. There can be a lot of other issues which can rivalry which can come up. So fellow colleague violence is called as type 3 violence, and type 4 violence is violence which comes for non-health reasons. Now that you understand the types of violence, what is very, very important is for us to emphasize the forms of violence which can happen against doctors. What are the forms of violence? Of course, the moment we say violence, we are talking about somebody punching, somebody hitting, blood coming out, fractures, death, stabbing, and those things. Yes, that is very, very important challenges we deal with. But violence is not just that. Verbal abuse is violence. Verbal threat is violence. Verbal threat is violence. Intimidation, where they put force on you and get things done, that is violence. Physical violence, you all know of, which can be minor injuries to major grievous injuries. Sexual violence is also a form of violence. Vandalism, property damage, those things. Sometimes you know, right? They are so angry, they might not hit the doctors, but they might hit they may damage the equipments in the hospitals and go, which is also a challenge because without the equipments, it becomes difficult to run the healthcare system at great quality. Now, this is not the end of the story. In today's world, you should also understand about cyber world related violences, right? People can troll you on social media. People can put up wrong posts on you on social media. These kind of challenges can also happen. So you can have these kinds of other forms of violence which can happen other than just physical violence. What I want to highlight here is also for you to remember the fact that you should be careful about what we call as microaggression. What is microaggression? Very, very delicate ways of putting across very sarcastic comments, very sexist comments, very gender-based comments, very socio-cultural comments, which can, it need not be abusive, but it can be with a sarcastic tone. These are also microaggressions which can happen. Why should you be careful about it? Because if you don't pick it up there, then the violence goes beyond and the trouble increases. Of course, people can plan harm and do it. When they plan harm, most of the times we know there is some long-standing hatred which they carry. There's some personal vendetta. They're politically, religious, or any other reasons they're against you. So they want to kind of show violence. Most of the times, planned harm is beyond healthcare reasons. It could be because of property issues, financial issues, XYZ, other kind of problems. What we need to be worried also about is the rapid escalation process of violence. What can happen in violence is a lot of other factors can lead to snowball of concerns and lead to violence on doctor. Now, I might have not done anything wrong, but they might be angry on the financial issues and the billing counter. They might be angry on the security personnel because they were not allowed in the last moments, and the person died and they couldn't meet the person, and so many things could have happened. So these other factors could make them become violent on us. We need not do mistakes for us to be the victim of violence. Sometimes other factors can also make us become victim. Misunderstandings can lead to confrontations. Small misunderstandings can lead to confrontations. So whenever you realize that they are misunderstanding, it's good to diffuse it much before rather than waiting till the last moment. Arguments which start off can lead to violence. So whenever arguments is kicking off, try to diffuse it in the beginning steps. Verbal violence can always lead to physical violence. So it's good to realize most of the times it can escalate and it can very rapidly escalate. So be careful about it, be vigilant about it, ensure that you are always aware that it can anytime get into violence and kind of you're trying to diffuse it at the earliest moment. Now, money is something which is extremely important in the healthcare equation, right? Please understand, money is important for both patients and leads to violence, is important for healthcare system and also leads to violence. For example, in the healthcare system, resource availability is decided by money. The quality of care is decided by money. Availability of security personnel is decided by money. Availability of enough staff is decided by money. Without money, it cannot be done. So money plays an important role from the healthcare system side. Also, in a country like India, we know patients, majority of them don't have healthcare insurance. Even if people have health insurance, they do end up having a lot of out of pocket expenditures, which is pretty huge amounts. Now, can you understand that when they have to pay out of pocket, they haven't planned for these kind of expenditures? So that is going to put a lot of strain on them. And that's why, they actually end up becoming violent sometimes. What I thought I should highlight here is important aspect is for you to look at a different thing. When you're talking about violence, you should also understand why people get so upset with this. Now, profits in healthcare is very, very different from unlike other business. Profits in healthcare is seen very differently. How is it seen? In any other business, if any business makes more money, they believe it's a quality business. They're doing good quality work. That's why they're making more money. They have systems in place. They have teams together. That's why they're making more money. That's how they believe. They have the best specialists, they have the greatest teams, that's why they're making money. This is what is thought about business making profits. When Infosys is making profit or Reliance is making profit, they say they're great companies. But what about healthcare making profit? For example, there is a Hex Hospital which says we made 350 crores this year. What is the perception? Yes, a lot of them will perceive it as good systems in place, good management, good administration, good teams. But please understand healthcare, they also can look at it as, oh, people are making money from vulnerable individuals. People are making money from vulnerable individuals or individuals who are going through problems, they are making money. And many a times people perceive that, okay, people are making money and the healthcare professionals, the administrative staff, the support staff, everybody are pushing things for the sake of profits. They're doing things for the sake of profits. Now, I'm not going to argue out here saying who are right and who are wrong, but I guess we should understand all of these things are possibilities. And I want you to look at profits from now on in a very different way because people perceive it in a different way. We might think, oh, we are not money minded, but people not necessarily will take it in the same way, is what we need to understand. That's something which we should know. Now we'll say, okay, we have law will protect us. Great, we do have laws, but many laws are toothless. There is huge amounts of bureaucracy driven, red tapeism, low implementation and low utilization. Very minimum number of cases get reported. Only when grievous injuries happen, only when deaths happen, only when big physical violence happen is when it is reported. Otherwise, most of the times violence goes unreported, unfortunately. And even if you report, the bureaucracy and the kind of delays which happen is much more painful than just the physical violence, which has caused already enough pain. Now, how do you hinder it? You need to create a caution danger zone kind of a thing. The time at the need of the hour is needing very stringent, strict, applicable laws which can make a difference. Laws which can be applied. Laws on the paper don't make difference. And it should be pro-victim. In sexual offenses nowadays, the laws are becoming little more pro-victim. The same way here, it should be pro-victim. In the sense, we should not be going there and proving that somebody has abused us. They should be able to, the other person should be asked to prove yes or no. That so pro-victim laws, something which is very strict and stringent and applicable, is the way to go in the need of the hour. But please understand, any law is only for people who want to follow. But there will be a bunch of people who would not want to follow. How do you escape from it? Now, you as a doctor might wonder, I'm surrounded by friends, family, people, patients, relatives. This patient doesn't like me, but there are a lot of other patients who kind of believe I'm the best doctor, so they will help me around. If you believe like that, answer is no. Even though there are a lot of people, many times what is noticed when violence happens is there is bystander inaction. Means what? People take a step back, they are afraid of their own safety, security, sometimes they run away, or unfortunately, if our time is bad, they join the challenge, especially when there is a bad perception. I said, right, social perception or global perception of healthcare. Now that can influence the violence and make things worse for you. So please understand, just because there are three people in the floor, it doesn't mean when violence happens, they will come rushing. That is why you need to have protocols, you need to have team discussions. You all need to think together, work together to reduce violence of different nature. Good security systems are and personnel are asset. If you have great CCTV cameras and if you have a good, really good security personnel and guarded doors and those things, they do work a lot. But the problem is it's extremely money consuming. So a lot of healthcare systems cannot afford it. Solo practitioners, uh, small group practitioners, smaller nursing homes, they do find it very difficult to do any of these things at a great level. But these are things which we should look at. When none of these things work and violence actually happens, what are the things which happens? Stress, burnout, and defensive practice. Still, compromised quality of healthcare. The healthcare quality will deteriorate in due course of time if we are living in threat and fear. There's no doubt about it. The cost of healthcare will rise. If I put more security, if I put more security systems, if I bring in more doctors, somebody has to bear the cost. So raising cost of healthcare is the challenge which will happen with going on violence. Growing trust deficit. The doctors will stop trusting the patients more and more, which means patients will also start losing trust on the doctors further and further. So it's a vicious cycle of growing trust deficit, which will happen if this violence continue. So how do you stop it? You have to work on zero tolerance, zero tolerance, zero tolerance. Whether I'm an individual, whether I'm a institution, clinic, hospital, college, or I'm an association, all of us have to talk the same language. Zero tolerance of violence of any nature, not extreme violence, even physical violence, verbal violence, sexual violence, as I told, cyber related violence, anything, we all have to, in unison, join together and speak about zero tolerance. This is where what can associations like IMA do? It is already doing it. I am hoping that they continue to do their good work and will work on it. They record when these kind of events happen, see into the situations, what, why, how, where, everything. They respond at that scenario, help the individual in crisis, help the system in crisis, reach out for various support systems, bridge the gaps, and also recommend, because an association many times would have had experiences of which healthcare system works well, which doctors work well, or in recommendation system, uh, what are the laws which are applicable, which can help these people to fight out these cases. These are things where associations can be very proactively doing it. A lot of it is already being done. I just hope that it is, and we need to time in and time out retaliate when justice is not being done. We need to ask for justice. We need to remind the central government, state governments, every now and then, asking for our own system and retaliating appropriately. Now, when we respond to the individual, we can debrief, we can give good support and care, bridge resources, and follow up and reintegrate. Why I'm telling reintegrate is because, see, for example, if I've gone through some major violence, I might be out of my practice for 3 months or 6 months, right? Now, for me to come back, first of all, I need to recover. More importantly, you know, any doctor who's the most famous, if he doesn't practice for 3 6 months, his practice goes down and he has to rebuild it. These are the times where we can support each other and do a lot of justice to one another. Most important point we need to know is each one of us as individuals, forget about the association, each one of us can do many. For example, I've spoken to somebody in the OPD and I'm planning to admit this patient. I found this guy being very argumentative in the OPD. Even in the OPD, I find he's very argumentative. What I should do is I should prime the nursing staff in the ward, saying this guy is little argumentative, be careful. He was little aggressive to me. So priming the staff and priming our department people could be a very simple way to address. If you remember, long time back when HIV was kind of big concern and people are dealing with, right? We used to talk when we are referring somebody. We used to talk to them and say, "See, here is this person coming. He is HIV positive status." Just because other person can take precautions, because at that time the challenges were too many to deal with. So that priming would help each other, right? The same way here in preventing of violence, we can do it. It is always important for us to be calm and composed, empathetic and understanding. Each one of these words is very self-explanatory. You need to be assertive and decisive together, and any given time you have to be safety oriented, safety of yourself, safety of the team, safety of the patient, safety of the caregiver, everyone. Teamwork, ethical and professional practice, and being prepared is extremely important. What is even more important is the willingness to be continuously in the learning spree, willing to learn from situations, CMEs, and talks and discussions about what is happening, the newer trends, what's working and what is not working. Now, we're coming to the fag end of it. I'll just take a few minutes where I'll wind up. Now, since I've been telling many things, right? I'm sure a lot of you would say, okay, forget about you're telling too many things. I want just some simple points to follow. You have to remember 3 points. One, at any point of time, if you want to take care of preventing violence, follow least restrictive practices. Harm minimization should be the principle you need to follow. Safety for all. These are three principles you should look at when you're looking at these kind of challenges. Next important thing, when you're following code gray, you mindset. What does code gray mindset mean? You can easily remember CODE. You need to be calm. You need to be organized. You need to be protocol driven. You need to be decisive. You need to be effective. These are CODE, calm, organized, decisive, and effective. As a doctor, when you're communicating with the patient, please understand only two things are happening. You are increasing the problems or you're decreasing the problems. Every time there is no other option of in between. So when you're talking and they're going in sync with us, we are de-escalating the situation. When we are talking and they're going against us, we are escalating the situation. I'm not saying every escalation will lead to violence, but we need to realize anything, as I just told you earlier, rapid escalation can happen. Now, why should you be working on your mindset? Because please understand, whether we like or not, medical field is a field which is human intensive. Doesn't matter how much technologies come, how many MRI machines come, how much AI comes, how much robots come. Ultimately, there will be a lot of humans who will be running around taking care healthcare system. Since human intensive area, healthcare system is human intensive area, it will be error prone, it will be prone for biases, it will be prone for problems and challenges. You cannot run away from it. And we need to understand whether you're a small time practitioner in a small clinic away from the main cities or big time practitioner famous all over the world. No one is immune to code gray kind of incidents. All of us are equally vulnerable to code gray incidents of different nature. With this, I think I've tried to highlight to you how this code gray mindset is just not about violence and those. It's about a mindset, it's about a protocol, it's about teamwork, it is about communication and those. I would like to summarize here saying this is the need of the hour. And thanks IMA to have the trust on me. And I especially thank Dr. Arishad Delantha Bhattu thought I'm going to do justice for it. Thank you very much for the patient listening. It's open for questions and discussions if there are any.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for your very nice presentation. We are very happy with the way you presented. It is excellent, and it is mind absorbing. We also have our president here, Dr. Srinivasa sir has come. Dr. President, the IMA KSB president is here. I welcome him, and I also request him to speak a few words.
Yeah. So good evening, everyone. Especially Geeta Madam also called, Harish Delantha Bhattu also called, and I heard Mohan Sumil Kumar done very well. And I almost 10 minutes I heard. I'm very sorry that we are celebrating COVID smartest day in IMA KSB. Almost 2 hours we are there, and after that my phone switched off. That is the one it has done it. I'm very sorry. I think all our friends are there. They have done good job with a good talented speaker here, and definitely whatever communication skills, definitely it is very much useful, and definitely whatever everyone tells, hearing, patient hearing is the best one communication skill at present. But so many doctors with busy schedule, they're not concentrating, they are not hearing the patient problem. That is also one of the most important aspect. Anyhow, so all these things, whatever, definitely they have done well, good job. I think all our IMA people, good percentage, more than 40 is there, I think. So everyone participated, done well. And I request everyone to continue the program, Madam. Geeta Madam, you can take over. I wish all every success for our programs. Thank you, Madam.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes. Excellent talk, sir.
Yeah.
We have few questions in the chat box, sir. Dr. Mahesh Babu is saying, how to change public perception about doctors making money?
See, I think first and foremost, we should realize that doctors are humans, which basically means humans can be in all forms. So there are doctors who have different intentions. So we should not, first of all, we should blanket statements like, no, doctors are not like that. When we tell like that, people don't listen to us. So I guess we should listen to them first and foremost and work towards reducing the perception by showing things in action. Because the best way to kind of change perception is by changing things by action. So the moment we deny, people don't like us, because we should realize that there will be black sheeps everywhere. If you take 100 engineers, there will be black sheeps there. If you take 100 politicians, there will be black sheeps. 100 teachers, there will be black sheeps. But doctors also humans. So we should realize that doctors cannot be foolproof, bulletproof, ethics proof, legality proof, or anything. So we should say, yes, there are humans, there can be challenges which can be happening. Now, then we should ask them specific things about our setups or our state, challenges here, especially when we're running associations and those things. When people come and give us some complaints, we should ask them, why do you think this is happening here? And then we will be able to reduce the power of the perception, because as a group it looks very powerful, but when we when we kind of break down the perception in smaller pieces, it makes a lot of difference. That is the one way to do. Like a bad movie can actually give wrong perception, there are many good movies where doctors have been shown in good limelight. Hopefully we should encourage those things to also happen. So that is where, if we have good connects in media, we should get our voice being heard through different lenses. And when other people tell doctors are good, they listen to us. When we say we are good, they don't want to listen to us. So I think we should use these social influencers and those other people to get the right perception, which is more balanced. We don't need to have polarity of doctors are good or bad. We need to find a midway which we should work towards. If we work towards it, I think we all.
If I may come in, Dr. Sunil.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Thank you for this topic today. No, my question was like you said, like Reliance or Infosys make profit. People are not jealous about it, or people are not after that. But over a period of years, say 20, 30 years, every doctor would make some amount of money.
Yeah.
That was my intention. That was my question actually. Why
Okay.
people are jealous or envy doctors making money, and doctors, rich doctors are kind of soft targets for people here. Because I have seen in Davangere, a very leading clinician who is 60 odd years being for some mistake his nursing home is being garrowed and extortion was done. He had to pay about 3-4 lakhs of rupees and get out of the this thing trouble. So like that, why people are like against rich doctors, or how to change their perception?
Yeah, that's a very valid question. The reason I brought in this whole slide to talk about profit is very different in healthcare is because we have to realize people don't see profit in healthcare as the same way like other people do. And uh, and you're right, sir. There is no right because we have no control on how they will think, right?
Yeah.
One way of avoiding it is to constantly keep doing quality work and show the kind of quality work we are doing. Like for example, if you're running charity organizations, or if you're doing a lot of free services or some kind of academic work, or if research, people should be shown to some extent that these are also things happening. And in fact, you also need to understand, for example, I might be a doctor, but I might be getting money from many other sources. Like for example, I might be having inherited money, I might have lands, I might have other things. People, the problem is people think he's becoming rich only by seeing patients. So what happens is then they think, okay, if he's seeing 100 patients and becoming so rich, so he's minting money through. So I think that is where uh, if we should be able to see, we don't need to show everything to them, but sometimes we should reduce a little bit of flashiness as much as possible. But again, we can always debate on it, because why
Yeah.
should we
Mohan,
not be flashy is something
Mohan,
we
shall
can
I
ask.
interfere? Shall I interfere?
Yes, sir.
See, you said 2-3 things. One is social perception. Another one is you are earning out of vulnerable individuals. So
Yes.
when you start earning at the cost of vulnerable individuals, that is not only for doctors, even for politicians. For example, when one of the ministers who did a lot of money during COVID hours, and they didn't spare him also. So the public perception is when you are in trouble, yeah, when you are making money out of these vulnerabilities, I think they have a lot of emotions towards that particular person. So now it
Definitely.
is a doctor, it could be anybody.
Yes.
But when the people are in difficulty, you are not supposed to do such things. That's the public perception. So when you make a lot of money, then naturally they think it is out of these people. So
Yes.
the public perception is like that. That it is. I think they have to understand.
Definitely.
Thank you.
Definitely, sir. That's a very interesting area, a debatable area. I think maybe we should have a talk on only profits in healthcare as separately. Maybe it will be interesting. Any other questions?
No, sir. Dr. Sandeep has said extremely well presented. Thanks very much for the valuable information. Yes. Yes. Anyone from the audience, if you want to ask anything or add to anything, you can please unmute and talk. Anyone who wants to express your opinions or ask any question? Kindly unmute and talk.
Sir, can you give a take-home message at the end, like what all the things to be followed to get away
Sir,
from these situations?
the take-home message is very simple. Mindset is something which has to be built and constantly evolved and changed. So we should be willing to be open and willing to be open to receive information and update ourselves, because the need of the hour keeps on changing, and we also evolve in our healthcare system and practice and those things. So this talk is just an eye opener. Maybe when we have a few more discussions happening constantly, when we have different people bringing different perspectives, it'll automatically help us to deal with. That's why I wanted to focus on the whole concept of mindset, because see, for government to change rules, the security personnel to change, the administrative rules to change in our hospitals, it'll take a lot of time. The only thing we can change is our mindset, which is possibly in our control. So I've through the talk, I've given enough tools to say how we can work with the law, how we can work with associations, how we can work with our own teams, the importance of communication, and the importance of seeing perception of other people, seeing ourselves through how the caregiver sees or the patient sees or the society sees is extremely important. So if you look at these aspects, I think you do pretty well on these things.
Hello.
Yes, ma'am.
Hello, can you hear me? I'm Dr. Padma Prakash.
Yes.
Now, regarding priming the staff, especially the nursing staff, even the group D workers, sir, they play a major role. We doctors in the OPD or inpatients will be hardly with the patient for 5 to 10 minutes, 2 times or 3 times a day. But the constant communication with the patients, the most of the time it is the nurses or the group D. So even their behavior matters the most. ಸೊ ಅಫ್ಕೋರ್ಸ್ ಡಾಕ್ಟ್ರು ಕಾಯಿಲೆ ಟ್ರೀಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ ದೇವ್ರಾಗ್ತಾರೆ, ಬಿಲ್ ನೋಡಿದಾಗ ದೆವ್ವ ಆಗ್ತಾರೆ ಅಂತ ಒಂದು ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ ಹಳ್ಳಿ ಕಡೆ. ಸೊ ಈವನ್ ದಟ್ ಪ್ಲೇಸ್ ಎ ಮೇಜರ್ ರೋಲ್ ಸರ್. ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ವಿ ಕಮ್ ಅಕ್ರಾಸ್ ದಿಸ್. ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ದುಡ್ಡಿನ ಬಿಲ್ ಬಂತೆ ಅಂದ್ರೂ ದೆ ಕಮ್ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟ್ಲಿ ಟು ದ ಅಡ್ಮಿನಿಸ್ಟ್ರೇಟರ್ ಯಾರಾದ್ರು. ದಿಸ್ ಹ್ಯಾಪನ್ಸ್ ಇನ್ ಸ್ಮಾಲ್ ನರ್ಸಿಂಗ್ ಹೋಮ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ ಸ್ಮಾಲ್ ಸೆಟಪ್ಸ್ ಇನ್ ತಾಲೂಕ್ ಹೆಡ್ ಕ್ವಾರ್ಟರ್ಸ್ ಆ ಥರ. ಬಟ್ ದ ಸೇಮ್ ಟೈಮ್ ವೆನ್ ಯು ಗೋ ಟು ಹೈಯರ್ ಲೈಕ್ 3 tier cities, ಸೂಪರ್ ಸ್ಪೆಷಾಲಿಟಿ, ಮಲ್ಟಿ ಸ್ಪೆಷಾಲಿಟಿ ಆ ಥರ ಏನೂ ಆಗೋದೇ ಇಲ್ಲ. ದೆಲ್ಸೆ ಇಷ್ಟು ಅಮೌಂಟ್ ಪೇ ಮಾಡಿ ದೆನ್ ಯು ಬ್ರಿಂಗ್ ದ ಪೇಷಂಟ್ ಇನ್ಸೈಡ್ ಅಂತ. ಸೊ ದೇರ್ ಇಸ್ ಅ ಹ್ಯೂಜ್ change of mindset of the, especially the insurance patients, ಅಥವಾ people, few of them that do go to government hospitals, but when they come to small nursing home setups, so it's not that easy like what we talk. So changing the mindset of the people, I think it has to be formed through the social media agli, ಅಥವಾ ನಮ್ಮ ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ಸ್ ಏನಾದರೂ ಟಾಕ್ ಇದ್ದಾಗ ವಿ ಶುಡ್ ಇನ್ವಾಲ್ವ್ ದಿಸ್ ಪೇಷಂಟ್ಸ್. ಅಂದರೆ ಪಬ್ಲಿಕ್ ಸಪೋರ್ಟ್ ತಗೋಬೇಕಾಗತ್ತೆ. ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಸಮ್ TV debates or newspaper, whatever. I think it's a long way to go. And to change the mindset of the people that doctors are making money out of them. In spite
Definitely.
of having so many government hospitals, idruno, when they come to corporate sectors, no issues illa avrige because they have insurance. But they, when come to medium sized nursing homes or the clinics also okay. But elli admissions ide. So as I told, we have to really prime this, all the front desk workers and pharmacy, lab, all paramedical staff, we have to really train them up to at least bring to our notice what's happening. ಏನಾದರೂ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಆ ಥರ ಥ್ರೆಟ್ ಅನ್ಸುತ್ತಾ ಹಾಸ್ಪಿಟ್ಲಲ್ಲಿ, ಹೂ ಆರ್ ದ ಟ್ರಬಲ್ ಶೂಟರ್ಸ್ ಇನ್ ದ ಹಾಸ್ಪಿಟಲ್, ಈ ಥರ ಎಲ್ಲ ವಿ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಪ್ರೈಮ್ ದೆಮ್. ವೆರಿ ವೆರಿ ನೈಸ್ ಟಾಕ್ ಸರ್. ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು ಸೋ ಮಚ್. ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ಗೀತಾ ಗೋದಪ್ಪಾಜಿ, ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ಕರುಣಾಕರ್ ಸರ್, and our honorable president Srinivas sir, and all the IMA doctors. Thank you so much.
Mohan sir, I just want to ask, if any doctor undergoes this situation, so as a psychiatrist, what advice you want to give him to cope up with this? Because he will be in a very low position. So what at personal level he has to do to overcome this situation? Maybe humility, whatever it may be. So all those things, how we have to cope up and bounce back again.
That's a very good question, ma'am. The most important thing here we need to understand is when these events happen, most of the times we are ourselves in a state of shock, especially when we couldn't predict it. If we knew that something was going wrong and something was brewing and it happened, we might have time to process. But when it happens suddenly, we are mostly in the state of shock. What I would say first thing is, no doctor should completely believe it is doctor or healthcare professional who's in victim of violence should believe that it is their mistake or their problem which has led to it. Many times, as even Dr. Padma madam just pointed out, multiple factors ultimately lead to violence. It is not just one thing, and it is not just the patient died and they get angry, because so many people die, but not all of them become violent, luckily. So we know that it is not. That is the biggest challenge we find, because when this violence happens, for them, they feel they have failed. And there is a lot of sense of embarrassment, right? Even in sexual victims, or even domestic violence victims, or doctor victims, there's a lot of embarrassment which comes in. We don't like to show our face to our own fellow doctors, because we don't talk about failures so easily. When we do well, we all share and talk about it. But when we fail, we don't talk about it. So that embarrassment component, if we can bring it down, it can help. This is where associations can be a great place, because what we have seen is when associations are very strongly connected, a lot of doctors, see, for example, I might be Dr. A and you might be Dr. B who have been victims of violence. Association will know. So if they connect both of us, we can share and talk to each other and support each other and come back and deal with it. Now, that is where we should support each other. And sometimes, even in conferences and other places, we should always ask people who have come out of these challenges. Like, for example, I can give you what books will tell how to recoup from these challenges. But there are real people who have come out of these challenges. How did they come out? What worked for them? What did not work for them? Some real time heroes. If we ask them to come and discuss, that will be a lot of learning for all of us. And that is how I think as associations, we need to build that systems around of mindset change. It is not one day event or one situation. It's an ongoing process we need to build in and do it. Most important thing is asking them not to own it up and say, it is because of me, it has happened. Most of the times, it is not because of them that the violence happened. If they can realize that, the guilt and embarrassment will be less and they can bounce back pretty well.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. So, hope there are no any questions. Yes.
Thank you very much, sir. Mohan Sunil Kumar, sir. One question is that added to you, especially for the doctor who has, as you told, the type 1 type of incident takes place to the doctors and paramedical workers, especially doctors, type 1. So for such things, many of the doctors become victims, committed suicide, having a different public, they have got different feelings, low esteemed feelings. It is what I'm giving some little idea support to you regarding there is some legal cell in IMA. So many of the doctors who are joining the IMA mainly because they want some support in the aspect of legal cell. So we have got a strong legal cell, and it is mainly supporting and moral support, as well as doctor not only having a medical knowledge, they should have some legal cell knowledge, like inspector, like law and police. So let them face properly. So any incident that happens, the moment the police officer they'll come and make the first is that you'll make a culprit to the doctor. You are the victim. You are the like that. So main law goes directly to the doctors. So doctors should understand what is the law behind and what rule he has to understand and how he has to take a support from the seniors. And a strong unity is the important thing for any doctors. So unity and and some support, especially the insurance. Every doctor and paramedical and hospital, they should have a supportive insurance so that they can face in the court also. So with these ideas, you have given a very narrative, important topic for the today important day. Thank you very much, sir. Mohan Kumar.
Yes. So, as you said, sir, zero tolerance. That is really very, very important. And nowadays, cyber-related violence, that also we should be prepared. Like if anything happens, how to cope up with it. And as you said, sir, truly many of the laws are really toothless. So we, through IMA and all the other associations, definitely we all are working, and we should work hard to find stringent laws which will really take care of this violence which happens. And now for the students, medical students, now NMC earlier in this MCI has started ATCOM, that is Attitude, Ethics and Communication. That is a very important teaching. Now I'm a medical college teacher. So in the medical college, we are having at least 15 classes of this ATCOM. So here students are taught about the attitude, ethics and communication, because this is going to help them in future to prevent all these things where they are mainly communication, where we have no patience, everyone is so busy, loaded with work, we have no time to communicate with the patient. So all these things maybe in long way will help us to avoid these situations, but not totally prevent them. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Harish, sir, any concluding remarks?
Yeah, very excellent talk. and very nice. Thanks for coming to the IMA platform and giving an excellent speech over here. I congratulate him for this particular presentation.
Thank you, sir.
Yes. Thank you, Harish.
So, yeah, you can thank others also. Yeah.
Yes. Now I request our Honorary Secretary of IMA Ams Karnataka State Chapter, Dr. Suresh Kagal sir, to deliver the vote of thanks.
Yeah. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity.
Great.
All the seniors, today is a vote of thanks for this important day. The first of all, I give thanks to our beloved President Dr. Srinivas sir, who has given opportunity to conduct such a important the CME of today's program. And on the occasion of the Martyrs Day, there is every year we have to celebrate like this, and it is our duty that we have to give respect to all the martyrs, and it is the sufferings. Even public has got a lot of panic. So I thanks to Karnataka sir also, who were there here and have given his IMA prayer and flag salutation. Thank you very much, sir, Karnataka sir, for joining this. And thank you, Sarthi sir, treasurer of IMA KSB sir. And also thanks to our chairperson, Dr. Harish Jarat Batu, who is a senior professor, Department of Psychiatry, and he is. We came to know many of these important senior member, and thank you very much, sir. You have conducted very well and very good topic you have selected. And thanks to the Mohan Sunil Kumar sir, MSK sir, you have delivered. The members are they are very satisfactory, and many of the questions we are having. We have a lot of questions, and still lot of questions should be there. And it is a very important topic, and everyone has to ask questions, so that everyone will be ready with the laws, rules, regulations. One has to know. It's a duty of each doctor, each and every one doctor. Thank you, Mohan Sunil Kumar sir, for coming all the way and giving a wonderful lecture. Once again, we will see you in such a different platform in the IMA. Thank you very much once again. Thank you, sir. And thank you all the persons, Suresh Sedra sir, Padma Prakash madam, and also thank you for joining the Madhusudan Kariganur sir, Subhash sir, and Dr. Rajendra Prasad sir also joined. Thank you very much for joining. Shubrata madam for Shomaga madam, thank you very much. And Veena madam also joined. Thank you very much. Mahesh Babu sir has raised the very important questions, and it is a very brightening for all the doctors also. And the doctors who has tried, and also their viewers in the YouTube. Thank you very much, and thank you very much, Madam Geeta Dappa, Madam. You have conducted very good and very important on the auspicious day. You have done a good job. Thank you very much, everyone. And we'll see you in the next month with a different topic and different chairperson with a different speaker on the behalf of IMA KSB with the IMA AMS. Thank you very much. Thank you. Good night, everyone. Thank you very much.
Yes. So thank you, Mohan Sunil Kumar sir. Very much, very excellent lecture. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Harish sir.
Everyone. Thank you so much.
Yes, yes. Thank you,
Thank
Dr.
you. Thank you.
Good night. Thank you, Dr.
Thank you, John, for your help.